Welcome back. This is the poet Izzy Human with the philosopher Dunamis on this week's episode number 56. Fight the live. Please be sure to hit that like button on your way in, and if you like us, consider subscribing to keep up with our episodes on YouTube and give us a follow on X.
And Fightcast is here to empower individuals to live healthier, master finances, pursue their dreams, and inspire others through self-awareness and global impact. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and not financial advice. So, Izzy Human, I know we took a week off. It's the first time we've done that, but catch us up. How are you doing?
Doing pretty grand, man. Feeling really good. Feeling like got the last few layers of that skin that I had been shedding there for a few weeks. And it was nice to go to Mississippi and yet again hit the reset button. This time the mission was a little different, and I took it upon myself to go out in our land and make a path to get to the middle. That was the start and finish videos. I started posting them on Facebook as a journey to show others what I was up to while I was down there in the sticks. Shout out to Mississippi, as always, for being a special place. And just, I felt very protected, felt very guarded, and felt very at ease. And it's always nice to see my grandmother and my family. My cousins were there for Christmas. The weather was wonderful, 70 degrees, and the 25th of December is an absolute incredible thing, and got to know my older cousins and got to know my little cousins, and it's just it felt very, very magical. And to get to the middle of the field was also very magical as well. And it just felt like my grandfather was with me and my mom was with me. And I actually found funny story, and I'll make it quick. I was getting the trail sorted out and got to a point, I was getting a little tired, getting a little fatigued, just had to kind of shift my angles there. I had a moment where I was like, Papa, just you just let me know you're here, and then I just start chopping, get the second wind and get to chopping again, get done with the area, look down, see this white stuff, some white sticking out. I'm like, what the heck is that? And I realize now why people die in movies, because of that kind of curiosity, because that could have been anything, dude. But I found deer antlers. And it was the most magical thing. And I've said magical so many times, but it was beautiful. It was very poetic. It was very much a fall on your knee moment, and like tear to your eye. You're going in the right direction. Just couldn't have been more perfect, man. So I feel like everything is fully aligned into that with every move that I'm making. And it's just, everything is much more intentional than it's been, It's already been intentional, it's just much more intentional. So that's how I would describe it. I'm here and back on my mushroom coffee.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I really, the pictures were great. I saw the picture of your family that you posted, and I had a chance to watch through a couple videos of you clearing the path. It was really very inspiring, man. And seeing you put in the sweat equity, that's fantastic. The that whole period. The reason I think I didn't get to see the rest the rest of the videos you posted was just I clearly had a lot going on. Of course, the last time we recorded,
Yeah.
things were very, not great in my circumstances, and very happy to report that my circumstances have changed for the better. There was a reconciliation with my fiance, and I had mentioned before that the wedding had been canceled for the time. We eloped and got married on Christmas Eve, and it was absolutely amazing. For my mental health, the bigger question there, I've had a couple of sessions of therapy, and I'm seeing a psychiatrist here in just a few days, and I'll be getting on whatever medication they recommend for me, of course. I also have 2 jobs basically ready to go that are probably temporary, but will bring in some needed finances in the short term. And I've got some leads on some bigger things potentially in the programming world again. So the crazy thing about everything that's happened in the past 3 or so weeks for me is just recognizing, and even circumstance, how much of what our life is in our mind. So many of the things, the prisons that we put ourselves in, are self-inflicted. I just, I'm happy. I'm excited. I still have a lot of work to do for my mental health, and recognize that I'm still not completely happy. Just all the time. I don't know if anybody is, but I can say that, man, the happy moments are happening again. And we went to go see the zoo lights. Me and the boys. I've got the boys right now for the end of their Christmas holiday still, and I think magical is a great way to describe what the period of time. It was important, I think, for us to take the week off that we took off, and I think part of that is just that, there was a lot going on. We've been doing this for a very long time, nonstop, very consistently, and we intend to continue to do it. But there's it was a very heavy moment, that we were going through, and this is a big transition. And I think fighting to live now, just like you said about living intentionally. I think that, for me, this New Year's and this that we just went through, and I think 2026 is so much. It's going to be a grind, but I think it's going to be it's a positive grind. It's like when you've hit the bottom of a valley, and you see exactly where you need to go, and you're going to have to walk uphill a little bit, but that's kind of where I feel right now. But it's very energizing. I feel very enthused for 2026. I'm so excited for what's ahead.
1000%. I want to touch on a couple things with the topic of living, and now is the hard. Here comes the hard wire. Here it comes. We're here already. We're at the top already. The grind is over. There's no more grinding. We're not grinding anymore. We've been telling ourselves we've been grinding. We're not grinding. We're there. We're at the top. We're at the top of our mind, the top of the mind of awareness, and recognizing when you need help, when to get up, when to submit. And honestly, submitting and getting up are synonymous to me, because, like I've always told you, in order to be a master, you have to submit to a master. And it's always been about us at the end of the day, man. Every individual in this world has only accountability for themselves. And that'll never change in this lifetime. What does change is our mindset, though. With the experiences, the mindsets, the people we encounter, but throughout all of that, the love for ourselves, it shouldn't change, or it shouldn't decrease. It can be difficult at times, for sure. I wanted to highlight, I don't know if it's not, I don't know if it's not happy all the time, but maybe just a little bit more there's more perspective in those days, where I wouldn't say even that it's harder to crack a smile, but there's just more introspection in those times where where it could be challenging, or like character building. Like, you still are you at the end of the day. You are still your name, your middle name, your last name, and the blood, whatever the bloodline. Like, I don't even think it's like that. It's just you at the end of the day. The generational curses is what we're breaking anyway, and we talked about that offline. I'm not thinking about, and no disrespect to my family, like, but like I know where I come from, but this bloodline that we speak of, it's not about, well, they would want me to do it this way, whatever that means. And I guess if they meet them wanting me to do it in a way where it was the opposite of their way, then perfect, because we were on the same freaking accord. But we're at the top of breaking insanity. Like, we're there.
Yeah, I I think I can see that perspective on the whole thing too, especially when we talk about how really all of this is a mind thing. Everything that we're talking about is something that occurs within the universe within us, and the the awareness where we're at now and what there is ahead of us. There's really it's really just a matter of, I think, listening, you know,
Yeah.
listening to God give direction as the direction needs to come. And I think that we also spoke offline about how, it really, the circumstances right now, I feel enthusiastic in a situation where circumstances might be at their absolute worst, or could even get bad from here. And the amazing thing about the way God works and the way that He works things out for people is, and even just if you wanna get all spiritual universal with it, the way reality works is you have to go through these wildernesses. You have to go through this wilderness experience. You have to go through these trials. But then when the mind changes, when when the repentance and the belief, the faith enters the mind, then reality has to conduct itself according to our beliefs, right? There's Our reality is based on the choices that we make every day, based on the beliefs that we have. And those beliefs even come from our imaginings, our imagination. And I know I feel like I'm kind of rambling here a little bit. I might have just a hint of a thread. And that thread, I think, goes back to what we were talking about with New Year's Eve and New Year's, and just the the visualization that I have for 2026 and the plan. I think what was so hard for me a few weeks ago was I had imagined a future that included, you know, homesteading and doing certain things. And for a period of time, it felt like that those quantum fields weren't available anymore, you know, and just that needing to re-understand or replan or start over, and what that was doing to my mind. But it really started with surrender. It was when I finally said, God, if this is your purpose for me, then there's no way it can be lost. I can't screw it up. Um, you said you work all things together for the good of those who love you and are called according to your purpose. And so I'm going to just trust, and I'm going to give everything, everything up. And if it's for me, it'll come back. And if it's not, then it's gone. And it wasn't until I really said that prayer that, um, everything kind of changed for me again. And I had to rediscover, um, Stoic principles and Stoic philosophy that we talked about very early on in this podcast. The idea that you can't let things that you can't control destroy your life. You can't dwell on these things that are outside of our control. The 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 way to peace is accepting what you can't control and changing what you can change, right?
The serenity prayer. Yeah, my grandmother gave me that necklace years ago. Accept the things that you can't change and change the things that you can't accept. What a loop that is, right? It's all a loop. You don't break the loop, you just break the cycles within it. It's I think about calendar days or whatever, and you think about, I don't know, less about the calendar and think more about what 28 days or 30 days means. And, those are all cycles. Those are all internal cycles that we have. And those are like constant resets for us. And, each day, each second, you're tasked with a quest. And I felt like with this journey of being in Mississippi, it seemed as if a lot of my good friends were under attack, and it was, here we are. And it was really a Stranger Things moment, very suspenseful, where all the demogorgons are all right there, and like we didn't realize Will had these powers. And it was and going out in the field, just outside of the labor itself, it was just more of a, you know I feel my friends' pain, and I, I'm, and it's all there. And then it's a give it to God moment. And God's just saying, give it to me. And we just went chopping, right? Yeah, that was the word. So Isaiah's out chopping. And yeah,
It was so awesome, man.
yeah, it
I
just it felt good. It felt good, man. But it's, it's just like, it felt like I was doing it like when you're I did it outside of myself, you know what I mean? Because I had already been doing this for me anyway, and that's the cool part about it. And I think that's where I feel like this is a testament of living. Especially, it's like, you do something for yourself so much. Like, I already know I have the physical willpower to go out there and chop stuff. I purposely went out there and to find the most manual old school thing you could use to chop it. I wasn't gonna halfway do this. And even if I found the other equipment to do it, so what? I would have cleared the whole field if I would have used the other stuff, but that wasn't the point. Yeah. Like, I was the bush hog. And it was at that point God said, just give it to me, man. It's like, whatever it is. It's like, I know you feel it. So yeah, it was sweat. I cut myself, and I was sweating and crying, and had to get the wins, count my breaths and stuff like that. But it's just like all of it was just accumulation. And God just said, give it to me. And then, like, literally, you fall on your knees moments, man. Just fall on your knees moments. Those are things that you can't explain. Those are things that you just had to be there. That's like, that was living. That was living. And just coming back and just being like, yeah, I love me, but man, do I love my people too. And it just come out of that on the other end of the stick. That's why now it's like, we're up, bro. We're up. We put in the work. We stood tall when our backs were in a corner, and there were a lot of tempting things that looked good, like quitting in whatever capacity that was, but none of us did it. None of us did it. And I'm sure the devil is really mad right now. But you know what? As above, so below. We control heaven, in the hell of our minds, dude. Like, real stuff. That's the reality of it. It's not the projections of all this other stuff. The Bible didn't just want us to read; it wanted us to understand.
I just I loved seeing you connect with the land, and I feel like that is what so many people are missing right now. You mentioned getting cut. All of that stuff is significant. It's not just what can we grow, what plants can we grow, what animals can we have on the land. I really believe that as humans, we're spiritually meant to connect with the land in a very physical, tangible way. And you were right there, man. And I just, I loved seeing it. And I know we talk about it on this podcast, but you were out there doing the work, man. It was fucking beautiful.
We come from the land, man. We come from the soil, and and that's the thing about that's the beauty of it. When you like all the connections of like Bible and like universe and spirits, like it's all one. Like, I'm so tired of people like trying to disassociate them and science and stuff like that. Like, get a clue. Like, it's all one thing. One thing I know about God is never the one that talks dirty to you. The mean person, the evil spirits, the devil is ourselves. The person who talks mean to us is ourselves. It's never God. Always follow the voice that talks nice to you. That's the one that'll never steer you wrong. And I feel like that's the key to, like, you got to read it obviously to physically open the book to understand the word. That's another thing, and it's I think it's really just a temple. It's a guide on how to, like, really take care of yourself, that light, that sun, and what that all means. And at the end of the day, none of us are God. We'll never be that said God. But there is a God within us. There is an image of that, and it's an image in all of us. And what we do with our bodies now, and that's just a full on preparation of just being like a soldier out here. And like, crazy world, like, the world's no crazier than what it was 40 years ago. I was talking with Shaggy about this and just thinking about it, like, everything is just recycled. It's just heightened now because there's media involved and you just see everything. And I feel like these things they've been happening, and it's just the narratives are just so much easier to flip. The 5 seconds now, how your attention span when you're looking at a reel that's already 30 seconds and you're already bored after five. That's what that is, right? And it's like, if we don't see this stuff now, if by now, like, what? It's like, we really got it. But again, this is not financial advice, nor is it spiritual advice or biblical advice. It's just you at the end of the day. I can't stress that enough. It is a you thing. So whatever
Yeah.
you have to do, you got to figure it out, because nobody else is waiting for you. You got to set the temperature in the room. That's real.
Yeah, and what you're saying too, I mean, it reminds me of Ecclesiastes says that there's nothing new under the sun, right? Um,
Ooh.
Paraphrasing, but like, all this stuff has happened before and it's all going to happen again. And I think that you're absolutely right that this has all been happening for a long time. And if we were to talk about current events, I mean, there's a lot that's been in the news lately, but it's just people's awareness is increasing, and that's it. The
Hmm.
stuff is the same things. All this, the Somali daycare. If you guys think that these whatever $1 billion that's been ripped off in Minnesota is a huge scandal, nobody's been. Then you're not paying attention. So the more
Right.
we pay attention, the more we just see what's always been going on.
Hmm. Just gets amplified. And dude, when you think about us and you think about the generations that came before us and the karmas that were the residuals of that, and that's what that whole generational curse is, and that's the mindset too. That's even thinking that, the parents of the parents of the parents, like, then at one point, like, people were scared of other people that didn't look like them, and then that got carried on for generations to come, and then we had to break that barrier first. And then it's just imagining if that wasn't even a thing, and and then peace was so taboo, but yet peace was a word, yet peace was something we spoke of in the Bible. That was something that the I fight me in the comments, but I'm just saying this for theatrical purposes and dramatization. Thumpers, were all about. But when it came to somebody who didn't look like them, but the Bible specifically said in the image, it was everyone. And it was like we were taking certain words and making religion out of that. And it's incredible what the mind can do. And that's why, to me, I can never that's why people will never cease to amaze me, because the no matter how opposite and so far-sighted things were, and this might just be me being like too tree huggy or whatever, it's always been very intriguing to me on how far humans have taken things in society. And I'm talking anywhere from the serial killers to just that whole mindset and where that comes from, and where is the disconnect and where is the new hardwire to what it takes to be a police officer, what it takes to be a firefighter, what it takes to be a lawyer, what it takes to be a musician, a podcast host, a business owner, just a worker, just somebody, whatever it is, the mindset that a person has to just be the best at whatever it is, or it doesn't even have to be the best. The best could literally be the best at being stupid. You know what I mean? And again, just for dramatization purposes only. But just in that sense, humans are fascinating. It's like wow, and the extent that some humans take to keep iron curtains in front of us all is even more magical in thinking of the Houdini and the type of the type of conscience you don't have to you don't need to have, or it's again, it's very intriguing to me and how humans are and what we do to go about that, and more respect to those who are more in tune with their truths. So it's these are beautiful times.
It is, man. They're beautiful and ugly times. I think you've touched on the dichotomy, the beautiful polarity of everything, but at the same time, I know I just finished watching through that P. Diddy, what do they call it, The Reckoning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
Oof.
yes. Woof. I'm gonna say my piece on this just because I, my inclination the more that I see human behavior and the more I've been waking up myself and talking to you, Izzy, about a lot of this stuff, and, you know, you see both the possibility of great beauty and great ugliness in people. And so much of it is based on their programming, is based on what has happened to them in their life, what traumas they've been through, their environment, their upbringing. You know, was there with his particular situation, and I am not in a place to pass judgment on anyone, and so I'm not going to. I I'm a human and I'm capable of faults and sins like everyone else. And that's the scary part of all this too, is you watch stuff and seeing when you can see when I can see parts of myself in him, you know what I'm saying? And in things that ways that he's acted and manipulated people and how the evil that exists in him exists in me, right? And hopefully not to that extent. But that right there, I think for me, it keeps me humble, right? Understanding that I think we're all capable of great evil, but at the same time, making that choice, right? Every day to do what's right and not to manipulate and to understand where other people are coming from and maybe why they're doing the things they do also helps us have
Mhm.
grace and mercy, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Grace and mercy and patience has always been a virtue, and that's something that I've always put emphasis on with our guys, and you see the evolution, you see the transformation, and just we all have had moments where they weren't always so gold, or the room was gold and maybe the lights just seemed a little darker, and sometimes you need to open your eyes, and it's always, they say easier said than done, but it is that, and yeah, dude, it's you just when you're not so worried about assuming and speculating what you know that person's doing, and taking it personally, you know what I mean, like that's a big crux of it, is we take things personally, and and we're humans, we're allowed to do that, we're allowed to do anything we want, at the same time it's still just everybody's an individual for a reason, and everybody's battle is not your battle. And it's okay to feel those things, but don't ever feel that what someone's going through, like I could have done something different, or like what if I, this, or now they're not talking to me, or whatever it is. It's just like, what, dude, now this is the time more than ever for you to focus on yourself. Those are those moments when you start feeling like that, is when you have to bring yourself back, and you have to, hit yourself with those mantras, or, me personally, I hit myself with the I am wealthy, and that just stops everything. I've been able to just try to like, not try, I've found key words that just stop me from just, like, it's my shut up, it's my shut up moment. Like, I am wealthy, I'm prepared, I'm protected, I have everything in abundance, I am who I say I am, no imposter syndrome. And we've talked
It's
about that several
it's
months.
gratitude.
Yeah.
That's gratitude spilling out, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's such a powerful emotion to foster because I think, I mean, that it's spelled out all over the Bible. I think just that feeling of thank you for what I have, you know, instead of this, I want, I need, gimme, I need more. That's not the energy. The energy is thank you, God. Thank you. I have so much. I'm blessed. You know, I woke up another day.
Yeah.
I have air in my lungs. I have clean water. I have a place to sleep, and not everybody has those things. Thank you. Thank you for those things.
Amen.
I think that's a big part of the beginning of how to live properly. We could almost have put properly after the fight to live, but we're all alive, we're all living. But I think what we're talking about is like that living intentionally, living with a purpose for your community, living according to some principles, whatever those principles are for you. What are the things that you really feel strongly about, that you believe in, and not because somebody on the TV told you to feel that way. You know, what is the really important thing for you? That is purpose. When you're just surviving, none of that stuff's important. And so I think when I chose life here recently, which was a significant and hard choice, but the choice came not just for me to live for myself. It has to be for a bigger purpose. I don't think that just living for myself would be enough for me to keep going at this point. So
Yeah.
thankfully I have kids. I've got kids to live for. I've got friends and family, including you. And it's that's the most wonderful thing. The experience, the idea that this is really all just a video game anyways, at the end of the day. you know, whether you believe that you cease to exist when you die, or whether you believe that you're going to heaven or hell, or whatever it is, like, who knows, right? But being worried about it is not going to help you at all. But living just for yourself, for carnal satisfaction, just to be rich or to be wealthy or to be famous, while some people might live for those things, I don't think those things bring happiness, you know, not by themselves.
Not by
So,
themselves. Yeah. Definitely not by themselves. That's like you're filling voids, and when you have everything in abundance, like you said, like that's the air, that's as far as your eyes can see, like all of that comes in, like it's like everything is in abundance, everything is in abundance. That can be the stress, I mean, like all of it, that's just, you have to accept that for what it is. Like, you don't get to like filter it out, like you do in a way, but just filtering more in the sense of just knowing that I'm a solutions provider. Like, I have, an abundance of knowledge, or, an abundance of knowledge from people who have an abundance of knowledge. And it's like, you gotta just take that thing with open arms, just like God takes you every single time. God doesn't ask you, what's the problem? He just says, get on. Or you just, you're being carried, and I feel like, when you walk with that grace of just knowing, like, you're gonna get hit with some water one day, it might be 100 degrees the next day. You might get stung by a bee, you might fall, you might get punched in the face, get mugged. Like, man, life can be ruggy. Life can be ruggy. And it's just like what do you do? What do you do in those moments? Like, why is it so hard sometimes, Dunamis?
I think so many of us, I watched a video here recently, and I can't remember the guy's name. Is it Chase Hughes? It might be that. The idea is that we're always constantly trying to predict the future. Our brains are a prediction engine, and as our brains are trying to predict the future, we start to develop expectations. We have expectations based on our beliefs. And everything in life that is a disappointment, I think, can boil down to an unmet expectation. And so if there's many ways to go through life happy, and you can live a life that's full of abundance without even material possessions, just again understanding that you have everything around you that you need, and at all times, really without much effort. And that basically is a life that doesn't really need much in terms of expectations, and so you're not really going to be disappointed very often. um, and you could also have a life that is, you could be a guy like P. Diddy, who has millions of dollars at his disposal. And if you were to get in any sort of trouble, you could pay your way out of it for the most part. And in that same way, you maybe have the same sense of your expectations are always being met, right? It happens over and over again. You seem like you might get in trouble, and then you don't get in trouble. And so the disappointing part happens when you maybe are in a store and you're shoplifting, thinking you're going to get away with it, and then those expectations aren't met. You know, you get caught, whatever it is. I might just be kind of rambling on a lot of this stuff, but I kind of think there's at least a little bit of a gem in there. And if you don't envy what other people have, if you don't want, then you're not going to be disappointed. you know um,
Right.
the great thing about that is you're also always grateful. If you don't have expectation for anything other than maybe some water, and I like eating eggs for breakfast. But eggs are not too expensive, at least not all the time. So those are pretty easy expectations for me to meet every day. And then if something goes above and beyond that, it's like a wonderful surprise. You know,
Mhm.
that's could be a little bit of a part how to reach happiness from time to time. I have to find silver linings sometimes. So, but it works, man. I think not really expecting much is a fantastic way to live a happy life.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The simplicities of life are everything. You have everything. You realize you have everything. You don't you don't rely and depend. Just you just know, like, this is what it is in these moments. And if there's something that you don't have, it's not something that you can't obtain. It's just not in the sequence at the moment. You got to follow a sequence, right? There's always some underlying sequence. It's like, if you literally don't have it, then there's a reason, right? And it's Just kind of how I think about it, and being
It could
present.
just be in something that you get in the next level of the game, though. You know what I'm saying? If you're thinking about it in
Yeah,
those terms.
yeah, absolutely, definitely that. Yeah, like I could be step 54, and you're on step 15 right now. Like, good thought, like you've got the thought, perfect. And that's the cool part. When you got the thought, then what do you do with the thought? See, and that's the thing. That's the other thing with being a human. That's rough. Like you said earlier, we think so far in the future that like the disappointments that come with that, or at least feeling the feeling of disappointment, just like, oh, I'm thinking of this, so it should happen next week, right? Or and it doesn't. But you forget all of the steps that you got to put in between if that's something you even like you want to do it actually. You just don't imagine being in the NFL and then go try out for the NFL and haven't worked out or gone through a training one time and think that you're just going to get in the NFL. Like very few far in between.
You
Yeah.
think about, I've been thinking a lot about like frontiersmen, you know,
Mm.
uh, even just thinking, and I know this is pretty lame in modern day terms, but thinking about what it's going to take for me to go and live on this land has me thinking about what people did, you know, 200 years ago on wagon trains. They didn't think anything of just picking up their whole life and their kids and putting all their possessions in a covered wagon and then going out into the wilderness with nothing except the knowledge of what they would need to survive, right? And that's I mean that's a far cry from where we're at now. And I know that not every type of person was that type of person to do that back in that day. It sort of took a certain amount of risk taking, and not everybody survived that stuff either. There's a lot of people that died trying to do that. But at the same time, I just think about like that's that's kind of that's the right kind of spirit to have if you want to be a success at something in life is that type of a risk taker. So
You and I have the advantage in some ways and some learning curves. We're not we're not in a rush. We have our milestones. It's not here in November or September, and it could be, right? But it's again within our own milestone where we get to sit down and do our research on it, where we want to put these things, how we want it to look, and we've already, gosh, we're 56 episodes, and we could just go back and listen to our own stuff if we really need a refresher or a reminder on the fermentations or the growing, the permacultures, and all of that. And I was joking with Shaggy that this was also the year that people got to know our Google Drive. The artists got to know the Google Drive because it took me about a year to figure the Google Drive out. Probably, in addition to that, um, it took me forever to say the word regenerative farming, and it took me a minute to just stop thinking that permaculture was a fancy word, and I was able to explain it a lot better to people. And now I wouldn't say I'm a wizard, but I definitely know what's going. I understand the assignment now for sure. So it's yeah, and even again, yeah, just being out on that land too and just seeing it and like, oh yeah, this, that, and the third, and that could go there, that could go there, and oh yeah, that's what Dunamis and I were talking about, and that part, and that be the oh yeah, dude, it was all coming together. It was like a bunch of cool little pistons and um, bunch of happy feet in my head. It was really fun. But it was just
but
cool how it all just came together. It all just went like, and then that was really bad foliage. My
that's hey, that's not a problem at all, man. I
bad.
I wanna see more content with you on the land, and maybe we can put some of that on the Liberty Project YouTube channel because I definitely want to have homesteading content from our land as we get out there. I'm gonna start taking down cedar trees with a chainsaw. I'll probably make a few videos with that. And you know, we're we're I think coming into a time. I'm not gonna speak just for a moment on some of this stuff. I think that people have for a long time thought I was crazy, especially in my family. But people that I've talked to since 2019 and 2020 about what I thought we were coming into. There's a book, there's books about the fourth turning, talk about generational, these cycles that we go through. And there's a lot of people that think we're heading towards war, of one form or another. I've, for a long time, felt like we're on the brink of famine, not not really other than any reason other than our food supply is so centralized. The money is centralized, the food, all of the meat in this country comes from basically four companies. And these companies work together to control the price. So it's the entire system is work set against us. We're if this is a video game, we and if there are other planets on other universes that have different curriculums, then we're on the hardest one, I think. And maybe not, but this entire system is designed to keep you unintelligent, to make you not think for yourself, to get every single one of us, no matter who we are, into a slave mentality where obedience is more important than success. You know, everything that, and it's not political or political right, it is the entire system. The money is broken, the food is broken, and if it was just that, that would be, bad enough, but we're pumped full of medicines and chemicals. We're poisoned at every level, and we all need to wake up. And the regenerative agriculture, there's ways that we can fix this planet. There's ways that we can fix the food and the money. Bitcoin is a big part of the way to fix the money. And Cardano and Midnight is a big part of fixing the rest of it, in terms of technology. But, we're on the brink, I think, in a lot of ways. And I'm worried for our future, especially looking, you know, um, I would say 6 years into the future. I think that could be a very bleak time for a lot of people. And I think there could be a lot of people that starve. And I'm not saying that to scare anybody in our audience, or I just think that preparation is what I'm doing in 2026. And preparation can be having extra food, food that can be stored for a long period of time. And it does not have to be the stuff that you just buy in big tubs that's like 30-year mac and cheese. You can use processes. There are ancient processes, and fermentation is that process. So the reason we talk about these things is, there's biological processes we use to turn milk into cheese and into butter. These processes people learned how to do thousands of years ago. Why? Because cheese can be carried around and stored and milk can't. So, they figured out how to keep food and preserve it and make it last longer. People learned how to survive right off of the land. But there's so much knowledge that we've lost. And I think it's important for each one of us to learn something. You don't have to become an expert in everything like I've tried to, and I know I'm not, but you don't have to spend all your time learning about money and crypto and permaculture and fermenting foods and preserving foods and all of that. But if you started with a garden, if you planted some tomatoes in your backyard and you start doing that in 2026, And going into 2027, you'll have some more tomatoes. And going into 2028, maybe you add some other, you know, things to your garden. I'm just suggesting that we all need to be more self-reliant. We all need to just be a little bit aware of the precarious situation that this world is in, not for the cause of anxiety or for any of us to go anywhere near as crazy as I have. But I say these things because I really do care about the humans in this world. I do think that, you know, there's a very small group of people that are trying to kill a lot of us. And I think that everybody can do better with better food and better money, and just opting out of this system, the pharmaceuticals. And anyways, I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna get off my
Welcome
soapbox.
back, ladies
Izzy,
and gentlemen.
I've
Welcome
I've
back.
ranted.
I know you
Thank you.
missed us. I want to say this is like season 2, Dunamis.
It is. I think we might. We do need to. We do need to start digging into some of these topics a little bit more. But you know, I don't. Yeah, you know, again, like I don't really care what people think about me anymore in terms of what, you know, if they think I'm crazy. Well, there we go. I think that enough people have seen what's going on. Again, all I have to say is Somali daycare. That's it. The tip of the iceberg, folks. Your government hates you. And if they're not actively trying to kill us all, well, I'd be surprised. But, you know, I love the United States. I love the people of this country. I love the history. I love, you know, there's definitely dark spots. There's definitely bad things that have happened. There's no nation on earth that's perfect, and that's not to apologize for anything at all. It's to say that I think that I think that the people of this country are beautiful, and I think that the government itself and the people that have grown rich in Washington, D.C., on the backs of others, and people that have defrauded, and instead of, you know, even Democrats that want the government to spend a lot of money, it's usually to help people. It's not to send money to terrorists overseas. So I think we should all be able to kind of agree at some point that fraud is bad. And I might be wrong. You know, maybe there's people out there that think fraud is good, but I think that I think there's a lot of really broken stuff in the world right now, and it begins with us. And you know, we should not be judging each other based on anything. Not not based on anything. We're all humans, and we've all gone through something. So, you know, personally, it it doesn't matter to me who a person is. If they're a human, then they're a human. And if they seem really strange or weird to me, it's probably because they've gone through a completely different experience than I have, you know, for better or worse. And I know my experience has been pretty sad at times, you know, and I've done a lot of bad stuff. I'm, you know, I love Jesus, and I ask the Lord to forgive my sins, and I try to do the best I can. But, you know, I'm I'm a human, and we're all bad. And I just have to remember that when I come across other bad people, that I'm no better, you know.
My grandpa always said, if you're going to judge me, you better be perfect.
That's it.
Yeah, no truer words have been spoken. But yeah, guys, tune in, man. This is dope. I'm glad that we got to like get to that point because I felt like that was like the hammer on the nail. But season 2, um, just guys, be on the lookout for a bunch of cool stuff that Dunamis and I have got in the works, and you know, uh, we're going to be expanding this year. This is the year of expansion. These are the things that you know we've come to a head with now. So more guest features, uh, more talks of the land, and you guys are gonna start to see those step by steps with us. So yeah, just be on the lookout.
It's going to be an awesome year, Izzy. I'm calling it now. 2026 is going to be so unlike the last 5 years. I believe it. This is going to be a hell of a great year.
$1 million.
Awesome, man. Hey, I think we go ahead and wrap it up here, and I don't know what it is that we're going to talk about next week, but I agree with you. I think the format might even change. We're going to be rolling some changes out, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, man, I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you again, y'all, for tuning in.
Awesome. And until next week, Izzy, never give up the fight.
Never give up the fight.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, your check is I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, that's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they're scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions and the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off, I'ma break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft, you can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life, better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss, just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they're scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say